Money FM 89.3, the best of Saturday mornings. Saturday morning sit down.
Recent news said that Kinokuniya Singapore was being downsized at its flagship store in Orchard Road to make room for a café. I mean, the second this story was out, the obituaries were already being written. This is the end of books in Singapore. I, as an author, have heard it many, many times before. The man across from me has heard it many, many times before. I hope it's not true, for obvious, selfish reasons. But let's get his view. Mr. Singapore Books himself. Kenny Chan, former senior director at Books Kinokuniya and now consultant for Kinokuniya. Kenny, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
Absolute pleasure, my friend. Right, let's get straight to it. Kinokuniya, what's happening?
Well, it's very simple. The lease is up, and we had to make a decision about the front of the store. Because if you remember, in 2014, we were asked to move from level 3, where we were very comfortable with,
I remember
to level 4. So when we moved up, there was something in front of the store when we moved. There was a restaurant.
Yep.
And the landlord said, wait a little while, and you can have the space. So we had to deliberate whether we want to wait a little while or not. Well, we waited and we got the space. And now, last year, the space is again up for negotiation, meaning that it's a prime space, more rental considered and all that. So we decided to keep the smaller space that we have. Smaller is not really small, it's 38,000 square feet, where we moved up from level 3 to level 4. So we lost a bit of space, which is front space, but it doesn't really affect us that much because when we moved up in 2014, we need the frontal because our customers are not only Singaporeans who are very familiar with Kinokuniya.
Correct.
At the Singapore main store, but we have a big portion of customers actually are visitors.
Yep.
You know, from ASEAN, from beyond ASEAN even, incredible. We have membership from people in Latin America, Middle East,
really,
etc., etc.
Wow.
It's not much, but they combined, they are formidable. So when the time comes, it's business as usual. Although the space is about maybe less than 15% smaller, the range remains the same. If you're talking about fiction, we still have it all.
Yep.
If we talk about comics, we still have it all. We have new areas, so many new areas.
Yeah.
Web novels turn into manga or manhwa adaptations, we have them. The Insta poetry, we still have all of them.
Yeah.
And of course, most importantly, we still have our Singapore literature. That hasn't changed. In fact, they have prominent spaces in the store now.
I was going to ask you about
Yes,
that
sir.
because the Singapore literature community, not always quiet, they could be quite vocal. And of course, as soon as anybody heard it was the front of the store, I heard people say, but that's where they keep the Singapore books, that's where they keep the fiction, it's all going to be shredded away and there's going to be no space for Singapore literature. And I said, well, surely they'll just reconfigure. They're not going to dump the books. They'll just be at a slightly different place. So what's it going to look like once the cafe is there?
Correctamundo, Neil. Because space is always the final frontier. Every time when I was working full-time there, I'm retired, of course, now, thankfully, people will come up to me. All my book elves will come up to me. Kenny, there's no space. There's no such thing as no space. If you are creative and if you are persistent, you'll find space. And we have space for all the things that we had in the front. Now the literature, the non-fiction is still in the front, but it's in the front of the old new store. It's reconfigured, but it's still in front. The Asian lit, the Korean lit, the Chinese lit, the Singapore lit, they're still there. They're prominently displayed. All the titles are not lost. And the rest of it, the Japanese, the Chinese, the stationery, they're all there. It's a bit tighter, which is nothing wrong. So from 1 pack Dad bought to 6 pack. So that's quite cool, I think.
But I remember you saying to me a few years ago now, you said that when Borders shut down, the perception would be that you might be happy because you'd lost a competitor. But I use this example to lots of people. I say, no, Kenny Chan was disappointed that Borders shut down. I remember you saying this to me because you want this sense of a book hub, a book community, whether it's popular at Orchard last time or Borders and Kino and Times, MPH, all together.
Right.
You want this sense of community. But there is no getting away from the fact that Times bookstores closed their final store at Jelita last year. MPH has gone out of the market. There are no Times bookstores, as I mentioned, anywhere in Singapore. And MPH went several years ago. What is your take on the Singapore book industry in Singapore? And where are we going, and I'll put inverted commas, wrong? Where are we going wrong with all these bookstores closing?
Well, of course, rental is a big bugbear. That's always the case. But for Kinokuniya's case, we have always started negotiation on the premise that we are a community asset.
Yeah.
Any commercial place that has a bookshop like ours would enhance and attract the crowd that they want. And I don't think that will change. In fact, even when we tried, this is quite some time back. Remember West? The Monkey and Kinokuniya went to the West and opened a Gem.
I went there many times.
Yes. Well, it was a hard struggle, as we all know, for the first few years. And then the last couple of years, we got the clientele right. We got the regular customers.
Really?
And it was turning from red to black.
I did not know that.
But then
Rental went up.
rental didn't go up.
Okay.
Rental had competitor who offered more.
I see.
So now, in place of Kinokuniya and Gem, you have Toys R Us.
Okay. Because we need more toys, right? In Singapore.
I love toys.
We all love toys. We all love toys. All right. Now, when you talk to people, and I do all the time, about the book scene in Singapore, they'll say, well, tough. It's just market forces. We're not all still riding around on horses. We drive cars and trains, and you have to move with the times. If you want to be a blacksmith in the age of the Model T Ford, that's your problem. Move with the times. What would you say to that?
Well, my answer is vinyl.
Yeah.
Vinyl is still around.
She's buying it. My daughter's buying it now, vinyl.
Vinyl is still around. What I'm trying to say is the product, as long as it fits the customer, if it connects with the customer. Okay, I'm supposed to actually start this profound interview with a story, which I'll mention now.
Okay.
When I was working in Hong Kong for 2 book chains, my only time, it was quite tough, but I had 1 hour every week as my off. 1 hour. I wake up later 1 hour on Sundays, and that was my off day.
Wow.
But that doesn't matter. My solace was music. And one day on the radio, I heard this bloody song. Pardon my French. It went something like da-da, da-da, da-da-da. Gorgeous song. No idea. Because the DJ was speaking in Cantonese.
Yep.
Oh, so I went to I don't think Abby remembers record shops. In the old days, there were a lot of record shops.
Yep.
So I went one by one to every record shop like a silly goose. Do you have this one? La 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 la. Go away. So finally, in Lei Gardens in Hong Kong Island itself, I walked into a music shop. It's very packed, very, very chaotic. And this lady came up to me in the typical honky way. What do you want? Then I used my very crippled Cantonese to say, have you heard this one? La la, la la, la. Wait.
Yep.
That time I was buying CDs already. she came out with a slew of bloody titles, including that one, which is Azenchitai. It's a famous 70s Japanese rock band, no different from Spandau Ballet. It's a Japanese version.
Okay.
The miracle was all the other titles were unrelated. From that, she knew my taste.
Wow.
So curation is very important.
Yes.
And connection to the customer.
Yes.
And this is what I pride myself to tell the Kino team and everyone I work for, that you have to connect with your customer, and when you can do that, that's what you get. Instead of getting one bloody CD, I bought about 7 or 8, all different things.
Yeah. Okay, I get that point, and Kino has always been fantastic at that. We know that. They're the best in the business. I've never, ever been disappointed with the Kino elves, as you call them. Have you got this book? Have you got this genre? They never disappoint. But how do we get the customers into the store in the first place? All right, I'll give you a couple of stats here. At 15 years of age, Singaporeans top the OECD's Program for International Student Assessment, PISA, the 2022 on reading. We top it when we're 15 years old. By 35, literacy among Singaporean adults declines sharply. What happens between 15 and 35? What are we not doing in Singapore that other countries are still doing? Because there's no getting away from it, Kenny. Our reading drops off a cliff.
I agree.
What are we doing wrong? Can we fix that? Is that too deep an issue? We stick it in a box called too difficult and leave it there. What are we doing, or what can we do to keep people reading? Because this will become an epidemic, particularly in the age of AI. We're going to need those critical thinking skills more than ever. So let's start there. Why do you think the reading drops off so drastically from 15 to 35?
Well, I'll call it adulting. It happened to my daughter as well. She was an avid reader. She wanted to be a fashion writer. And later she stopped reading, and I asked her why. At the time, she was already a full-time nurse. And she said, she took out all her medical books and textbooks and showed me, this is why. But more seriously, I think more and more people are engrossed with real life issues, no? Getting a job, finding a partner, side hustle, mini retirement means you have to work harder. All these things add up. So I think this is something that is hard to change.
But that's not unique to Singapore, is it? I mean, all of those issues would apply
exactly.
In Seoul or Tokyo. They still have a vibrant bookstore industry.
Yeah.
London, Paris, New York, Sydney, Melbourne still have more bookstores than we do. So there's something, is it cultural? Is it socioeconomic? I think, look, the obvious things you mentioned, rental is one. GST is another. We can get in that rabbit hole if we want.
Yep.
Not all countries put GST or the equivalent of GST on books. Personally,
Correct.
I don't think they should. I've always argued that case.
Agreed.
But that's an uphill struggle. So rental is one, GST is another. Is there anything else we're missing here?
We have to address the other gorilla in the room,
Which is?
which is a fantastic job that our National Library is doing.
Yes.
And I acknowledge, and I work with them. I still work with them. I still host overseas librarians coming to Singapore. The last time I did it was at the Punggol Library, which is awesome, beyond awesome.
Brilliant.
And I think they've done a good job. But I'm plugging Kino again, right?
Go for it.
Ngee Ann City, when they first opened, their library just above
Yes.
on the 4th floor where
There
we
you
are
go.
now.
So that would contradict your argument, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So what was the secret?
The secret is Kinokuniya is doing a job that is so good that we can compete with the library.
But can you still do that?
I think so.
But, okay, so let's look further afield. Look, so they say reading is declining worldwide because of social media, Instagram, TikTok, all the usual distractions. But the US, I'm sure you're following this, Barnes & Noble are opening 60 stores in 2025. They got this new CEO in the last couple of years.
James Don.
That's the one. And Barnes & Noble was gone. It was out of it. It was dead and buried and finished, like Borders and the others. Not only did they come back, but through their superb business model, they're opening new stores. Like I say, 60 brand new stores are opening. Bookstores in 2025 across the US. Why? What are they doing? And can we learn anything from that?
Yes. In fact, we've been following Don, and our journey in Kinokuniya parallels Dawn in the sense that we prize curation very much. Like that long drawn story about Azenchita in the Spandau Ballet. Curation is key.
Yeah.
And that curation evolves. So you have to be connected to the customer. And it's why James Dawn empowers even the subunit retail stores to do their own buying. It's not centralized. Big brother or sister buys for everyone. It doesn't work. A good example was when Borders was around. When Borders around, their buying came through Australia. But the buyers are, at the time, we were not talking about Zoom even. But their buyers were from New Zealand. And then when one of the Lee Kuan Yew book came out, there was some to and froing, I'm sure. I'm guesstimating. Who's Lee Kuan Yew? How many do we take? 2 copies, 3 copies? I whacked the whole lot, of course.
Well, I can relate to that. When my first book came out, this was late 2001, early 2002, I famously went to Borders, didn't say who I was, but I said, do you have Neil Humphreys' Notes from an Even Smaller Island? And I remember this vividly. She typed it in. No, we don't do that. Can you tell us more about the book? And I said, it's a book about Singapore. She went, go to Kinokuniya for local books.
Yes!
That's what she said in January 2002. I'm rather proud of this. Fast forward 3 months, when the book refused to stop selling, I'm playing an event to a packed house in Borders. I'm not saying it all changed because of me, but there was clearly a change in Borders' mindset after that towards more local books. So for you, it still comes back to curation.
Yeah, your question, it comes back to your other question as well. You have to support the ecosystem.
Yeah.
Borders saying come to Kinokuniya, that's a good sign. Because they are thinking of their customer. They could have said, there's no such book. Deny the customer. But you're not protecting the ecosystem. So for me, it's always about protecting the book lover.
Yeah.
The consumer. And the other point, if I may,
go,
is, of course, curation, decentralization is nothing if you don't have good people running the shops.
Yeah.
Retail leadership.
Absolutely.
Both at the top level, not trying to say anything, and at all levels.
Couldn't agree more. We've got comments coming in from Shane Ward, who says, my mum said you'll be the same person you are today in 5 years, except for the people you meet and the books you read. Books lead to more books. It's a fabulous life journey, says Shane. Keep your comments coming. We're talking to Kenny Chan, Mr. Singapore Books himself, former senior director at Books Kinokuniya, still a consultant for Kinokuniya. If you want to ask him any questions or get your comments in, WhatsApp 88550893. That's the WhatsApp message to contact to get in touch with us today. All right, let's talk about positive things now. Let's focus on the positive. The book industry has had more obituaries written, I don't know, than Frank Sinatra's career, right? The wireless was going to kill off books.
Yep.
The movies were going to kill off books. Then television was going to kill off books. Then cable television. Then the internet. Then social media. It kept coming and coming and coming. And somehow the book industry, which, lest we forget, is a 300-400-year-old business model, more in some ways, and yet it endures. I feel, this may be a bit existential, AI presents the greatest challenge in all of the challenges I've just mentioned. What is your take? What keeps you optimistic about the book trade?
AI allows more people to dabble in creating books, good and bad.
Yeah.
And I think AI, being a bloody super optimistic guy, will allow people who are still thinking and creating to have more time to do things that they want, including creating and reading books. What do I mean by that? I've used AI as well. When I want to do presentations, I said, okay, I type a few words, boom. My bloody research comes in less than 10 seconds. Of course, I have to embellish and put in my own input. But the research assistant work is gone. It's the same if you're a lawyer, Your briefs, you want to find precedents and all that, just type in, boom. I think that's how probably Trump does it as well.
But the same argument could be taken for books. I want a crime thriller, I write it in. I want a poem, I write it in.
Of course, that's what I'm saying.
So how do we survive?
They will write in, but these people who write their own books that other people want to read because it's the kind of books that they want to read, it's a bit, you can say it's an acceleration of that factory process of publishing books. Of course, you have to solve the problem of ethical concerns.
Yep.
Meta recently had a lot of problems with their live learning model where
Correct.
They use a lot of people's books. So I think you'll come to a point where we have to grapple with this AI, which is it's a tool.
Yep.
It's a tool. We have to be smarter than the tool.
It will never replace the human connection.
If not, Skynet will come in. That's all I can say.
I agree with that. It will never... I say this to students, teachers, lecturers. AI should not replace the empathetic qualities that make us human.
Exactly.
That is what I teach. That is what I preach. It can do anything. It can construct a far better sentence than I ever could. But it won't feel real. It won't feel human. It won't feel empathetic. It won't connect in the same way because it hasn't had my life experiences.
Exactly.
And it hasn't had yours. That's what I hope anyway. Right. Positive, positive, positive. We've still got gallant indie bookstores like littered with books and Book Bar around Singapore. I know them. You know them. There's one or two others. They do their best. What advice would you give to them or anybody listening right now who's associated with books, publishing, the industry in any way, to keep going?
Well, my pompous, overbearing self would say E.M. Forster's famous quote, only connect. As long as you can connect with your end user, your customer, your clientele, you will survive. Because once the connection is there, the empathy is there, the social contract is there, the commercial contract, they will come back to you. That's how Kinokuniya survived for so long, because we connect with our customers. I'm now worrying about generation beta already. What can we do better with them? Pardon the horrible pun. And of course, alpha, we have already connected, and it's like making use of the things that are supposed to be your competitor into your friend.
Yeah.
Examples, the publishers know this as well, streaming. My God, I'm spending more time watching streaming than reading. But as a retailer, if you know what are the good stuff, for instance, now that the new Suzanne Collins Hunger Games Volume 4 is out.
Stock up on Hunger Games.
No, stock up on Battle Royale.
Okay.
Because when they finish with Hunger Games, Battle Royale is a Japanese novel that came out many years before Hunger Games that tackled the same issue, but more realistically.
So that's, again, anticipating the consumer demand, connecting with the end user, and having a good curation process.
And knowing the new things that are coming out.
Yes.
Whether it's a web novels turned into adaptations, or we are proud to say we are the first to actually go into Insta poetry. When we first heard of Rupi Kaur and Lang Leaf and all, we approached them. We asked them, hey, don't do your own print don't do your own self-publishing because it's expensive. We'll introduce you to big publishers. So a connection with publishers also help, because it's always about the ecosystem.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, you're a very popular man, Kenny Chan.
Yeah, I used to work for Popular twice.
I know, and MPH.
Yes.
You was at the Stanford one, right? Was it the...
When I came back from Hong Kong, I was the bookstore manager of Parkway.
Oh, Parkway. Okay.
And then Parkway had a bit of a reshuffle, and I became the cook, waiter, and bottle washer at Stanford Road. Yes, the flagship.
First place. You never forget your first. The first place I ever saw my book on a shelf was MPH Stanford.
Cool.
And it was November 2001, and it was in the window as well. And I've never forgotten it. It's like your first baby. And it was beside a Robbie Williams autobiography.
Oh, cool.
Where is he now? No.
You're still here, man.
I'm still here. He's in his mansion, counting his millions. Listen to this. Rob Salisbury says, "Thank you, Kenny," one of our listeners, Rob. "I met you 15 years ago at Suntec at a Singapore 4-day book fair. You were so passionate then, and you've still got the mojo message for books. Thank you for leading the charge across Southeast Asia. P.S. Bugis Junction Kino was my favourite bookstore. Great store layout and team. Cheering you on from Brisbane." All right.
Humble.
It's great. It's wonderful. If you've got any more comments, you've got to send them now. WhatsApp 88550893. Okay, what's next for Kino? Long pause.
Long pause for dramatic effect.
Yeah.
Kino is still business as usual. We are still connecting with our customers. We are still getting the stuff that they want. We know what is coming up. We are still figuring out more and more stuff coming up. The most wonderful thing now is because our what's the name of the bookshop? Oh, Books Kinokuniya.
Yes.
It's Asian. The Asian element is becoming stronger and stronger in terms of the things like manga, things like English translation of Asian authors. That's growing. Korean, for instance. Korean, of course, is a story we can talk about forever because the Korean economy, soft power, tactics, which started in the early 90s, where they constitutionally allocated funds for publishers, for music and all to grow. This is the result now.
Yeah. They lead pop culture, literature, music, fashion, all across Asia. Yeah.
I waste so much time and I'm enjoying it on K-pop now. Sorry, Spandau Ballets. Sorry, whatever British bands there. No, I don't follow.
So there you go, folks. We need more institutional support for the book scene in Singapore.
Please.
My last question to you. You've talked about the publisher, the consumer. Talk to the author. Talk to the Neil Humphreys of tomorrow. There's a young Singaporean kid listening. He wants to write a book. He's passionate about literature, but he feels like he's wasting his time. It won't get published, or it won't get into a bookstore, or it won't get read. What would you say to that Singaporean author of tomorrow?
If you have a dream, and if you have the passion, and if you have the support, especially of your peers and your parents, go for it.
Brilliant.
It is definitely not a waste of time. There are so many authors that have come up to me when we have events, and these are authors that are now pretty big. Rachel Heng, The Great Reclamation, Charlene Teo, Amanda Liko, even my dear favorite journalist from Straits Times, Olivia Ho. They all come up to me and say, "Hey, Kenny, I grew up in Kinokuniya, and here I'm in front of you, signing a book for you."
Wonderful.
That's cool.
Wonderful.
So go for it.
Go for it, folks. Thank you very much. Kenny Chan, the former senior director and current consultant of Books Kinokuniya. The death of the book industry might have been just greatly exaggerated. Would you agree?
Yes, I think so.
Right. So you've heard it here, folks. This weekend, go out and read a book.
To listen to more great interviews, download our podcasts at audio.sg or download the audio app. That's AWEDIO, audio at the App Store and Google Play.